to try and keep my lungs clear. I honestly don't think I had more than a couple weeks to live.
That's when Steve received the gift of life, a double lung transplant made possible by an organ donor.
After I got my new lungs, I started doing things that I had never been able to do. I never knew that breathing could feel this good.
Steve climbs to honor his donor and to raise awareness for organ, eye, and tissue donation.
Wouldn't you like that when you left this beautiful planet, that you could save a few lives on your way out? It's an incredible gift.
Imagine what you could make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
When is the best time to talk to your family about staying in touch during a disaster? When floodwaters reach your door? When wildfires are engulfing the edge of your neighborhood? Or an earthquake is destroying buildings? When a tornado is tearing through town? Or a hurricane strikes? Or is the best time perhaps today? During a disaster, you may not be able to stay in touch with your family or friends as easily as you think. And it's not always as simple as using your cell phone. That's why now is the time to take action. Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent flooding, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana. Powered by Pepsi. 102.1, 104.3, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Transmission starts in 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. The Afternoon Underdogs are taking your calls live. 850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We are live on a beautiful day, especially if you're a baseball fan, because trade deadline has not disappointed. And I got two of the greatest guys to be covering the Major League Baseball trade deadline with me today. I've got Sam Peeble, host and creator of the Braves Dugout podcast. Sam, what's going on, my man?
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be here.
Hey, it is always great. This is third time I think that we've had you in the studio.
Sounds about right.
Third time that we've had him in the studio with us, but we have him on weekly as a guest covering the Atlanta Braves. Does a great job there. Also a writer for Fansided, MLB.com, Tomahawk Take, Sports Talk ATL. We've also got Max DeLyden in the building with us for at least 2 segments, hopefully 3. Max, what's going on, my man?
Not much. Great to be back.
How was your vacay?
It was good. It was good.
Oh,
I missed you, though.
Hey, man, same way. I was actually out all last week, so, yeah, so where did I go? Well, luckily not to the hospital, but, yeah, so it was just one of those things, you know, kind of, my brother got COVID about 2 weeks ago or so, around. And it just...
Everyone's getting that.
Dude,
whatever number wave it is.
Whatever it is, I don't know, because Colin Cowherd was out all last week. You got Pete Carroll, Kyler Murray right now dealing with it. Got a email from one of the guys who covers Ole Miss. He's a senior writer for the RebelWalk.com. And he messaged me and was like, hey, I'm finally getting over COVID. I'm like, guess what? Me too. So great to be back in the saddle with you guys here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. We did have our 5-year flyaway giveaway yesterday. Ron West was the winner, and we're sending him back to Atlanta to go check out the Braves. Great seats. We're taking care of his flight. We're taking care of everything. And you guys should be excited because we're also going to be doing the same thing not too long from now now for the Auburn Tigers, so that should be a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun just participating in helping somebody get 2 tickets to the Atlanta Braves, and we're taking care of everything else that you need. But the big news of today, a lot of big news actually. As soon as I got into the studio today, it just seemed like everything was going haywire. But the Padres landed Juan Soto and Josh Bell. The Nationals ended up getting pitcher Mackenzie Gore, who I think is also one of the top rookies of the year this year. Outfielder Robert Hassel III, shortstop, which you put on my radar not too long ago, Max C.J. Abrams, outfielder James Wood, and pitcher Yarlin Susana. How do you guys feel about this move? And how dangerous did the Padres become? Not just this move, but then they also got premier closer from the Brewers yesterday in Josh Hader. So give me your thoughts on this monumental move, one of the biggest moves in baseball history in the last few years.
I think it's a great move on both ends. Honestly, I think if it was my assessment, I would say the Nationals kind of won this trade, just because there's no way that they would have been able to keep Juan Soto anyways, so they maximized on the value. I mean, the people they're getting back are insane. Mackenzie Gore in the first 2 months of the year was probably the best pitcher in the National League. Robert Hessel is a top 20 MLB prospect. C.J. Abrams was drafted number 3 overall in 2017. This is an insane trade package that will help the Nationals be competitive for years to come. And I'm nervous that the Braves are going to have to deal with C.J. Abrams for the next 10 years or so.
Oh, man. That's the thing that stinks the most about when the Nationals are involved in these trades, is what the future could look like for them. But on the flip side of that, even though Juan Soto is it a down year for Juan Soto, or is it the fact that he's taken so many walks that the average doesn't look as good as the OBP?
For Juan Soto terms, it's more down there. Yeah. Like, he should have a little more power, but some of that comes with the psychology too, of just being on a bad team, being surrounded by that. I think people should be pretty excited to see what's going to happen the next 2 months. I think last month he had an OBP of over 500.
Yeah.
I think it was 505.
It's always like the home run derby just really starts his groove all over again.
Right. I'm surprised. I think the Padres won this trade by a little bit, but I think it made sense for both teams. Josh Bell being included is crazy for them because, people thought they were going to have to give up a lot more. They also, instead of, how Eric Hosmer almost held up the deal.
Yeah.
But it was, they got Luke Voigt instead.
Oh, so he did ended up, or Luke Voigt, because I did see Talking Baseball on Facebook with John Boy and all of them. I did see that they had added that, but I was like, is that just a separate part, or obviously it's got to be a part of the deal, which is, that's wild to think, and you don't need so many first basemen. Right. On the roster right now. Shoot, throw Juan Soto on first base.
No doubt. And yeah, so like looking at the deal, I used to do some stuff with RotoWire with our prospects, so I'm pretty in tune with that stuff. And if C.J. Abrams was still like an active prospect, he'd still be like a top 10, top 15 prospect. People are kind of giving him some knocks because he struggled a little bit in the pros this year, but this is a guy who also had some of his development stunted because last year he broke his leg and tore his MCL. So the talent's there. I don't think anyone should be very worried about him. I know like some people on Twitter were kind of knocking how he's done so far this year, but I don't think it's a very fair assessment. Because coming off a broken leg and MCL, of course, it's going to take a little bit of time. But honestly, in this deal, I think Mackenzie Gore is probably the 4th best asset that they're getting, because Robert Hassel, he's top 20 on MLB's pipeline. He's probably going to move up to top 15, top 10. He's going to be up next year. He's a very talented bat. He's only in high A right now, but he's got about a 400 OBP there. He's in about 300. He's got basically all the top tools in a bat. And James Wood has skyrocketed this year. He's only 19. He should be up at the end of 2024. But both those guys are very good hitters. And then along with their other deal, moving Asturi Ruiz for Josh Hader. He's a pretty highly ranked prospect too, who just came out of nowhere this year. But he's kind of more of a your slap type hitter. He doesn't really have a lot of pop. He's got some speed, but he's not someone that would have really fit into the Padres' plans, especially if they were intending on getting Soto. They're more than stacked now, so it made sense for them to make the deal, and it made sense for Milwaukee too. Even though it stinks, like losing some of that clubhouse morale. I know Hader had that incident a few years back, but everyone still really liked him in the clubhouse there.
Yeah.
And like it really sucks losing. He's probably the best closer in baseball. Still, I mean, he struggled the past month, but he's still, when it comes down to it, pretty lights out. And going Devin Williams to him was pretty nuts. Taylor Rogers is a little bit of a downgrade, but it's a still good 1-2. So I think both those deals made sense for both teams. But I could understand as a first place team, even the Brewers losing your closer, it's kind of a gut punch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I want to ask Sam, which trade here, the Juan Soto, I guess, wasn't as surprising because the Nationals, after he declined that deal, said, hey, he's available now. Yeah. Josh Hader, though, that one just kind of came out of the blue. Did one of these deals surprise you more than the other?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, definitely didn't have the Josh Hader going anywhere on my bingo card. Pretty crazy trade. I think that probably the Brewers analytics team were looking at things and decided, you know what, we can capitalize on some major value here without a huge drop-off. Because they've already got a solid bullpen. If your backup guy, because really it comes down to overall production from your team. So if it's a minor drop-off from Josh Hader to Devin Williams, and you also get Taylor Rogers as well, if you can get all of that stuff just for Josh Hader, who's been struggling lately, they saw a deal that would help them now and in the future. I think it was a smart move on both sides. I mean, the Padres are going for it. The Brewers already have a solid bullpen. They gave from a position of depth. Both teams got better. It was very surprising, though. It's very unprecedented.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw that come across the news feed yesterday, I was like, Josh Hader of all, like, are we playing MLB The Show right now? You know what I mean? Because some of the moves, I'm just, maybe I'm less studious on some of these guys. You know what I mean? I just don't know who some of them are. When it comes to, they made this deal because, what are they, 12 games back from the Dodgers right now, right?
Right.
Do these moves, and we haven't even got into the discussion. I mean, are the Padres right now, let's start with this, are the Padres right now the Braves of last year as far as winners of the trade deadline? And we're not done yet. We still got about 50 minutes left, but what's your initial feeling on it as of right now?
It's hard to pick winners of a trade deadline, to be honest with you.
Till you start seeing the results?
They've made the splashiest trades, without a doubt, but they're trading massive packages for these guys. And, I mean, they're going for it, and they're going to be a very solid team. It's virtual lock. They'll make the playoffs. So if that's what their goal is, I still don't think they're the World Series favorites, and they're making all of these moves, mortgaging a lot to get it. And we've seen, A.J. Preller isn't afraid to make trades, but he doesn't exactly have the best track record of being successful with them. So we'll see.
What are you thinking on this, Max?
I really love what San Diego's doing. I do think it's kind of similar to the Braves, because I think like 30 minutes before the show too, they got Brandon Drury from the Reds too.
I feel so bad for Reds fans, man. Everything just it's like they're fielding a AAA team at the major league level.
And yeah, they got the guy that got is decent. He's like the 120th best prospect in baseball, but he's 18, 19, so you're not going to see him for 4 years.
But and I think both of you guys can agree on this. Both of you guys know this better than I do as well. But no matter what, when you've got a guy who's proven at the Major League Baseball level, they're kind of proven. Doesn't mean that they're going to work out almost like a la Joey Gallo at the Yankees, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're dealing with prospects, it's still a gamble, right? It could be a high risk, high reward type situation. It could be a high risk, and you don't ever get to reap that reward.
Yeah, and then it could be a situation like when, the Padres traded away James Shields to the White Sox and got Fernando Tatis Jr.
Right. It's not always that you're trading for a guy that's going to be on your team. You're trading to build up your farm system to either build up your team in the future or have more assets later when you are more competitive.
Yeah. Man, so now, like we were getting to, 12 games behind the Dodgers for first place in a daunting division in the National League West. Do they catch him, or is this? Why do you think they made this move if they're not able to catch the red hot right now Los Angeles Dodgers? What do you got, Sam?
I don't think they're trying to catch the Dodgers. They know that they're going to make the playoffs. The playoffs has been expanded.
Mm-hmm.
It's a virtual lock that they're going to make the playoffs. They're trying to be able to beat the Braves or the Mets. That's who they're trying to be able to beat, because that's who they're going to meet in the playoffs. So really, it's not them trying to catch the Dodgers. They're just trying to get to where they can beat the Mets or the Braves, whoever they face in the playoffs, and then field a competitive team that definitely have a legitimate shot of beating the Dodgers once they face them.
Yeah, and I know the Mets always met, but I think people are really, kind of still sleeping on them a little bit with DeGrom coming back tonight. Like, in a buzzsaw, I mean, you're going game 1 against Scherzer, game 2 against DeGrom. That's so hard. And even Taijuan Walker, he's got a sub-3 ERA. Like, man, that is a tough 1-2-3 right now, though.
Yeah, that is a great point. I can see how people could possibly be sleeping on the Mets right now in a sense because of that 1-2 punch. But
and
then
I'm sure
you look,
you guys hear it more being Braves fans about the Mets and
Oh,
their division. So,
golly, let me
the most absurd fan base in baseball. Them, the Yankees and the White Sox, just egregious expectations.
Oh, who would you say is the most egregious, Sam? Who would you say is the most egregious fan base in Major League Baseball?
Man, I have no idea, to be honest with you, but I'd have to say probably just the Dodgers, probably just because they like to talk so much smack against the Braves for whatever reason, just because they meet them in the playoffs. I mean, they're not even really rivals, and they're on Twitter. Dodgers fans are always talking smack to Braves fans, and I just don't understand it.
And it's frustrating too, because with the LA fans, it's we're fans when our team's good, and then when we're bad, we just don't follow. Type thing.
That's a good point. We do got Melvin, I believe, is on line 1 with us. Go ahead, Melvin. You're on the air with the Afternoon Underdogs.
I just think the Braves are going to get beat tonight because Nick Nelson from Panama City is pitching tonight, and I hope he throws a no-hitter on my 50th birthday.
Well, happy birthday to you, Mr. Owens. And I'll be pulling for Nick Nelson to only give up 1 run tonight and the Atlanta Bravos get a win. But whatever happens, happens, man. Thanks so much for the call.
You're welcome. Y'all have a nice day.
Hey, yes, sir. You do the same exact thing. So, yes, Nick Nelson.
You go to Rutherford?
Yes, he did. Yes, sir. And got a 3-1 record right now. Looking pretty good. We'll get into more of that at 5:45 this afternoon, where me and Sam are going to break down what we think is going to happen not only in that game tonight, but post-trade deadline expectations. More or less, I'm going to be asking questions throughout the show today, and I'm going to let Sam answer a lot of them. Now, we haven't even got into what the NFL has announced for the Miami Dolphins and their newest dilemma. So we'll do that here coming up next in the next segment with Your Minute with Max. It's been 2 weeks since we've had him on, so we've got to give him some time to talk about what's going on with PRG. We got Sam Peebles, Max Delyden in the building. I'm David Hayes. We'll be right back.
Weather in Northwest Florida can change on a dime.
Gale force winds bombarded with heavy rain.
That's why 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has the most up-to-date forecast on the Gulf Coast. Hi, this is staff meteorologist Tim Root. With over 40 years of experience, I know just how fast we can go from sun and fun to a serious situation. For the most accurate and detailed weather when it matters, rely on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Spotty showers and thunderstorms overnight, partly to mostly cloudy in the mid-70s, light southwest winds. Looks like about a 50-60% coverage of showers and thunderstorms Wednesday and Thursday. Partly to mostly sunny most of the time. A high temperature when it's not raining, 85 to 90 degrees. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Ben and Deb Collins, owners of Bay Guns and Gear, have been in business since 2010, offering new firearms and accessories with a huge selection available for your hunting needs and personal defense. Turn to Bay Guns and Gear. They have the weapon for you. Discount pricing. And if you can't find what you're looking for, they'll special order it for you. Bay Guns and Gear, across from Grease Pro at 3115 Highway 77. Visit their website, baygunsandgear.com.
Hi, it's Coach James Hale. Keeping your car looking great is easy as 1, 2, 3 at Blue Sky Express Car Wash. By joining their monthly wash club, you'll get the best bang for your buck. And just 2 car washes, your monthly membership pays for itself. Don't miss the summer deal where all your monthly memberships are 50% off on your first month, starting at $9.99 a month. Become a member today at Blue Sky Express Car Wash on Back Beach Road, right next to Home Depot. Tell them Coach Hale sent you.
Swampy Jack here. I've traveled the world for decades and brought my most exciting adventures to Panama City Beach. Encounter the 25-foot-tall Swamp Ape. This indoor scrambler ride is synchronized for a multimedia experience like you've never felt. Put the pedal to the metal, racing around the Marrakesh track in electric go-karts. Supercharge your cart with special power-ups for extra speed or to sabotage opponents. And if you're hungry, grab a meal at Swampy's Cantina or enjoy an ice-cold beer. This and more at Swampy Jack's.
Live from the Rib Crib studio. Hot takes, the latest trades, in-depth interviews.
That is my reaction.
We break it down for you right here.
Very big springboard for the rest of my career.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
That's the problem right there.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're back. We're inside the Rib Crib Radio Room. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes. We've got Sam Peebles, Max Delyden in the building with you guys. This is your Minute with Max. We're in the Rib Crib Radio Room, and 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is your home for the Auburn Tigers. Again, we've got college football just right around the corner, man. Less than, 30? About 30 days, give or take, depending on the team that you follow. If you're Florida State, you got an early game against Duquesne, then you go into LSU. We're going to have all the Auburn Tiger games right here on our air, and we're kicking it off against Mercer, I believe, this year, September 3rd. You can hear every game right here, and also make sure that you keep it locked in because we're going to be sending a listener to see the Auburn Tigers this year. This is your Minute with Max. Max, we haven't had you in a couple of weeks, but give us the latest that's been happening with the Panhandle Restaurant Group.
Yeah, we have bike night tonight over at Rib Crib.
Oh, it's tonight.
It's tonight.
Nice.
Night. Yeah.
Way to give me a heads up on this, brother.
No problem. It's a little jet lags. And then we've got Ribs and Rides on the 18th. And then a lot of people always are asking me when new stores are coming. Where the Rathfields location is officially August 12th is when we're opening.
August 12th.
Yeah, on 15th Street.
August 12th, so that's 10 days away, 15th Street.
Week from Friday.
All right, man. Can't wait for it. I also have something to discuss with you pertaining to our fantasy football draft. Now, I do have a location that is in mind, but if that location falls through, I can think of no better place for us to hold our fantasy draft at other than, we're the Rib Crib Radio Room, right? Why not hold our draft at the Rib Crib? That would be awesome. I don't know if the new place on 15th Street would be big enough to hold it, but I know that the place in Callaway would definitely be.
I think they have party rooms and stuff, so.
So, bike night tonight. Yes. Ribs and Rides, the 18th, correct? August 18th. All right, that is some good stuff. Anything else going on? I've seen some news on Chris McMillan's Facebook. Are we breaking that here yet, or are we giving it a little bit of time with the?
Well, it depends which news.
Yeah, I bet there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. But the Greek Mediterranean Grill.
Yeah, that's a concept we signed off on. Mm-hmm. We don't have anything planned yet. It's called the Great Greek Mediterranean food. Definitely our healthiest concept. Bringing the bacon.
That's funny, man. That's funny.
So you're, trying to go a little less greasy. We got you at Great Creek. And then PJ's Coffee, too. We're going to have our first one attached to that Rib Crib on 15th Street where that Liberty Tax building was next to Rathfield. So also probably on our healthier sides of things.
I love it, man.
Yeah, so that's what we got going on. Nothing too crazy right now.
All right, that's Max Delyden, PRG. This is your Minute with Max. Deshaun Watson got hit with the 6 games. To me, egregious, disgusting. There's a lot of adjectives I could use for what I think about a 6-game suspension for him just because of a myriad of ways of the way that it was handled. But it's not up to us. It wasn't even up to Roger Goodell. It's up to former judge Sue L. Robinson. Is 6 games enough, in your opinion? And what are they going to do in those 6 games? When I mean, what are they going to do? What will their record be in those 6 games?
Sure. Well, so I forgot to. I've been trying to bring a few more viewers to the show, so I got to give a shout out to 2 Braves fans listening.
Yeah, go ahead.
Duncan Hensley and Brad Kreppel. Thanks
Let's
for tuning
go.
in.
Welcome in.
Chop on.
Chop on. He's a Cubs fan, just so so
Yeah,
he has nothing else
Brad's
to go
kind of a
for.
Yankees fan too. We don't give Yankees shout outs here.
You can't be a Yankees and a Braves fan. I'm sorry.
We'll go back on that topic later, Brad. We're going to cover Aaron Judge, so stay on.
Yeah.
I think they'll go 4-2. They're a pretty good team, and they don't have that hard of a schedule for the 6 games he's out, if I remember correctly. I'm still kind of on the MLB.
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Man, it is what it is. This always brings me back to because it passed in court and it passed in civil court. How is Trevor Bauer still suspended? He sat out long enough, but I also kind of want him to stay suspended so the Dodgers don't get any extra help.
Well, I don't.
Probably cut him.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I don't think that he's going to be playing with the Dodgers anymore, regardless of what happens with that suspension. If he does appeal and somehow gets off of that, I think the Dodgers are done. At least according to manager Dave Roberts.
He does himself no favors too. Like his Twitter, he's like pitching to college kids. He's batting against them.
I see doing the hit tracks, hit tracks again.
He looks like he's beefed up a little. I'm like, come on, man. Like at least act like you're trying to get back there.
That's funny.
It is what it is.
All right, so 4-2 is your record for him in that game in the 6 games without him. I can see at least a loss to the Chargers. I can see a loss coming at maybe even against the Carolina Panthers to open the season. Sam, what do you think the Browns will do in their first 6 games without Deshaun Watson? And if you have any strong feelings or any feelings at all on the suspension with Deshaun Watson, you can share them now.
That's a touchy subject right there, man. Yeah, obviously it's kind of crazy how I'm not a fan of blanket suspensions on anything. I really hate how the MLB does it with their PED usage. But at the same time, if you don't have blanket suspensions, you have stuff like this where, Josh Gordon gets suspended indefinitely just because he likes weed. And then you have something that is actually hurting other people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only 6 games. So it really is bizarre to me. The Browns, they're a terribly run organization, so I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't win any games, to be honest with you, just because they're that horribly ran. You hate to see it, though, because prior to Deshaun Watson, you love to root for teams like that. You want to see them do well because it's good for the sport. But, yeah, I don't know. The Browns, not really a big fan of them right now.
I love it, man. Got a text in from Professor Plum. Says, regarding Rib Crib, I treated 3 friends to lunch there this past Sunday. They loved it. So good shout out there.
Thanks, Professor Plum.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt about it. When it comes to Aaron Judge right now, what's he got? 43 home runs as of last night, I believe. How many home runs do you think he will finish the year with? We'll start with Sam.
Well, he's on pace for about if in 162 games, he's on pace for over 70, I think 77 home runs. Don't see that happening. Right now, he, in a 104 game span, has the 4th most home runs all time. So I'm gonna go ahead and say he's probably gonna get somewhere around. He'll probably slow down just because it's gonna get in his head. I'll say low 60s, so maybe like 62.
So he at least will break the Roger Maris side of things. Because Roger Maris, I think his single season record is 61, right? And Barry Bonds 73. I would love to see that record be broken by Aaron Judge. Even if he's a Yankee, what do you got on this, Max? How many home runs do you foresee Aaron Judge finishing the year with?
I'm gonna go with 64. No rhyme or reason to that.
No rhyme or reason. It just sounds good.
Yeah, I don't. He doesn't really strike me as someone who gets like too mental about stuff. I don't know. I think it's really cool. He's a pretty likable player too, as far as Yankees guys go. I mean, because the Yankees really glorify everything. Like they had some tweet when Benintendi got traded. And it was like soak it all in. And it's like, dude, he's been an MLB player for like 10 years. Like, it's not a little kid going on Yankee Stadium for the first time. And like, as my Yankees friends have told me, their baseball field's not a wiffle ball stadium. They want everyone to know that. But their short porches are very short. You could take out your wedge and hit it out of the stadium.
But I mean, there's been a lot of home runs that Rizzo, especially, right, that's hit this year that it's a one-of-one park that you're hitting it out of at that point in time.
So also reminds me of a great MLB Twitter account if you ever want to follow it. It's called Would It Dong.
Oh, yeah,
and it's just
great
like
one.
I have not. I
It
haven't
shows,
checked that
like,
one
it'll
out.
be like when someone hits a homer, it's like, oh, that'd be out in 19 of 30 parks.
Oh,
or
okay.
whatever.
I've seen people use that.
Yeah, it's great.
But I haven't actually found that Twitter page, so I'm gonna definitely follow that. I thought you were gonna go with something like MLB Facts or something like that. I do love their, the quotes that they put up and how often people run with them as factual. Like, I know it says facts in the name, but they're spelling it wrong, guys.
There's also a person that has a Ron Washington parody account that has like 60,000 followers, and everyone thinks it's real.
And it doesn't even have a check mark if we're talking about an MLB
and
coach
I
at that point.
comment, like, I just love how everyone thinks this is real, and they always comment back with just like an eye emoji.
I saw today Adam Goff had responded to you on Twitter, and I couldn't find what the response was, but it was like, haven't you heard, essentially, feelings are more important than facts these days? And I was like, I need to find what that was about, because I know Sam doesn't deal with feelings over facts. It's all about the facts. In fact, both of you guys are big factual fellas. We talked a little bit about the NL West race in the previous segment, so let's move on to, we're going to be talking about the MLB award race, provided that we have time later on in the show. Me and Sam Peebles will. Which MLB award race are you most intrigued by as of right now?
That's a tough one. Maybe the AL Rookie of the Year, just because I love Julio Rodriguez. I think when I came on here before the season started, I said that's like the guy. If I had to pick anyone who's like hasn't played in the league yet, future Hall of Famer, like he's so talented. But it opens the door a little bit for Jeremy Pena to catch him. And the NL one's pretty fun too. Braves guys battling it out.
Yeah, that's what I had asked. I asked Sam about that earlier. Basically, my question was, in the National League rookie race, is it Spencer Strider, and I believe there's a second baseman that's kind of on the list as well for the St. Louis Cardinals. I believe his last name is Buchanan, but he was like, no,
Oh, Nolan Gorman, I think you're thinking of.
Maybe that's what it is. But Sam was like, no, give me your answer for who the top two rookies are in the National League right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's Michael Harris and Spencer Strider. I know it sounds super biased to say, but it's really those two and everybody else. I honestly am interested to see the AL MVP race, just because I would love to hear the arguments between Ohtani and Aaron Judge, and maybe even Yordan Alvarez. But there's always going to be those people that for whatever reason think the MVP is an offense-only award, and they're all going to say Aaron Judge, which, I mean, Aaron Judge deserves to be in the conversation, obviously, but it's just always fun to hear people's reasoning and to debate it. It's just going to be a fun race.
Now, is the National League MVP, is that still a race, or is Goldschmidt pretty much got that thing locked up?
I mean, people love offensive stats. Austin Riley is not good defensively. And so if you just look at the offensive numbers, he obviously caught up with his crazy hot July. But Goldschmidt has been solid the entire season, so it's still Goldschmidt as of right now.
What are you thinking on that, Max?
Yeah, I think it's Goldschmidt pretty clearly right now, as much as that pains me as a Cubs fan. But Riley's up there too. I know you and I have gone back and forth on Ohtani a few times. I think it's pretty clear cut out of any of the leagues that Aaron Judge should be the MVP right now. I know what Ohtani does is super impressive, and he's a generational talent, but Judge has about double the homers, better OBP, better OPS, and I know Judge doesn't pitch, but at the same time, I mean, Judge is in a competitive playoff race, and the Angels just kill careers and are never. It's really frustrating what the Angels do, because they have so many talented guys, and they go to waste. The Trouts. I mean, Trout now at the back, and Ohtani.
Dude. And Rendon can never stay healthy. I mean, they pay all this money out, And it just, if I'm Ohtani, like, get me out of Dodge. Get me out of Dodge, because what's going to happen? I'm going to sign a long-term contract with you, and I'm never going to be worth a dang anymore.
I don't know how they haven't moved him and Thor before the deadline ends.
I know. Well, we still got about 29 minutes, 28 minutes left to go. We're going to take a quick timeout. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Blessed to be in the building. We'll be right back in just a few short moments.
.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has the real local fishing report. This is Tim from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle. Join me every Thursday afternoon at 5:15 during the Afternoon Underdogs and Friday mornings during the 6 a.m. hour. It's accurate, concise content from local anglers right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Is your mouth watering yet? We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Hit me with the sound effects again. Ladies, gentlemen, if you're feeling the way I'm feeling, we should both go get us a piece of that cheesy, beefy perfection with a delicious, refreshing Pepsi. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Buffalo Rock Company in Panama City is currently accepting applications for delivery merchandisers, as well as other positions. Please apply online at buffalorock.com/careers. Buffalo Rock Company is an equal opportunity employer. It is Buffalo Rock Company policy to provide equal employment opportunities to all qualified applicants, without regard to race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, national origin, age, protected veteran, or disabled status.
Mid-South Lumber has new owners. Stop in and visit Ann and Dave. They're on site every day to make you a priority. They're not the typical big box store, and customer service is their #1 priority. Locally owned and operated for over 40 years. Transform your home with James Hardy Siding. Durability, fire resistant, sustainability. James Hardy Color Plus is virtually maintenance-free and comes with a 30-year warranty. Mid-South Lumber, the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City.
It's the cooling season, and time to call Steverson Air Conditioning for your preventative maintenance to keep your air conditioning system operating at full capacity. Steverson Air Conditioning has preventative maintenance programs, and they service all makes and models. Steverson Air Conditioning offers air duct cleaning. Steverson Air Conditioning has after-hours service and free estimates on a system change-out or duct cleaning. Call them at 248-1109.
The #1 SEC call-in show is now twice as big. It's double the Paul Feinbaum Show. Weeknights starting at 6.
Okay, but also go faster.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs. Live from the Rib Crib Studio. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. We're riding inside of the Rib Crib Radio Room. You're listening to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Also, if you're around the Jackson County area up in Mariana, 102.1. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your foes, man, right here. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, also 102.1. We've got Rob on the line with us. Rob, you're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. What do you got, buddy?
First off,
Rob, I'm going to need you to find a little bit better of reception, man, because you're breaking in and out.
Is that real bad?
There you go. Hold on now. We'll stay wherever you're at, right there, and let's start it all over.
All right. So I don't think people understand the generational talent that they're watching with Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
I want to say I think he's got more home runs right now than last. The dude is crazy. Like we've not seen anything since this or like this since Babe Ruth. It's just phenomenal.
Well, I don't know too many people on this earth that have actually physically been able to watch Babe Ruth, but a lot of, documentaries, so I'm not taking anything away from that, and I do agree with you that what we're watching right now is absolutely special. I think because of how special it is and how unique it is, it almost gets overhyped to a degree, but I think that it deserves the overhypeness, if that makes sense.
Oh, it's something special. It's and a pitcher develops on his pitching techniques and mechanics, and the hitting kind of goes away. It's just phenomenal.
Rob, you wanna get to your shout out real quick because we are kind of losing you a little bit.
So I know that I'm in your office with you, and
Hey, Rob, see if you could find a landline and give me a call back, man.
Gotcha. I'm going to give you a call back. Yep.
All right, sounds great, man. Thanks so much. That's some good stuff there. I always love good shout-outs. And so let's kind of dig into that real quick. I know that we had something else planned for this, but couple of headlines real quick. Now, obviously, dealing with the Miami Dolphins while I'm waiting on a call back here from Rob. Loss of 2023 first-round pick and 2024 third-round pick. So if Tua doesn't get the job done this year, things have drastically changed, and you got to think of that text message, what Bill Belichick sent to Brian Flores, thinking he was texting Brian Daboll as like a mastermind of a chess move. Other guys playing checkers, Bill Belichick's over here playing chess. But the owner, Stephen Ross, has been suspended through October 17th of the year 2022. Six games. Right along the lines with Deshaun Watson. Ross is off all NFL committees indefinitely. He's also been fined to a drop in the bucket for him, $1.5 million. The NFL ruled that the Dolphins had impermissible communications with quarterback Tom Brady in 2019 and 2020 year while he was still under contract with the New England Patriots. Those communications began as early as August in 2019, and they continued throughout the 2019 season and postseason. Basically, they were looking for him to be a football executive, and, you know, the name Tom Brady never is too shabby to have around your football organization. I think we've got Rob back on the line with us. I'm going to answer it. Rob, is this you? Are you on the line with us? You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Go ahead, buddy.
Absolutely. What's up, fellas?
Oh, yeah, you're coming in crystal clear now, my man.
All right. Hey, so, yeah, you know, I just want to make sure everybody understood what they were watching with Shohei Ohtani. As far as the shout-out, yeah, Sam Peebles.
My man.
Yeah, I remember him from back in the day. He used to give me a little bit of grief about having two baseball teams, two football teams. You remember that, Sam?
I sure do.
You remember my teams?
I know that you're a Ravens fan. Who's your other football team? The Broncos?
No, the Niners.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you got one in each conference, though.
That's a little
All right,
better.
and then baseball. You know, if you follow suit, baseball would be the Giants and the Orioles.
Okay.
Hey, at least you got them from different conferences and all that.
And it's not bandwagony. You know what I mean?
Listen, if one of your teams is the Orioles, you're not a bandwagon.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And that's kind of, I have a
if you
bigger
want a
problem
new
with
NFC
bandwagon
team.
than anything else. I mean, if you got two teams, you got two teams. But so real quick, Rob, I know you got something else to get to. How long have you been a fan of these teams?
All right, so I grew up in Sacramento, California. So
Okay.
I grew up a Niners fan and a Giants fan. And then my dad's family is from Baltimore, and I moved there after high school. So I picked up the Ravens as soon as they became a team in '96. I was there when they won their first Super Bowl. Been in the military for the last 20 years. Just actually retired. Shout out to myself.
Yeah, no doubt. And thank you for your service, sir.
Hey, you got a nice beard now.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's a genuine, true love. But a lot of my coworkers and friends like to give me a lot of grief and flack.
To me, though, from hearing the story, and obviously it's a very small backstory, but it all makes sense to me, right? You grew up in a place, you were a fan of the teams that you grew up around. Like, I'm partial to, I don't really call myself a Tampa Bay Rays fan, but I grew up in St. Pete, so I was a Braves fan. I'm a Braves fan, but I'm partial to the Tampa Bay Rays. So I get 100% where you're coming from. And then also when you look at your teams geographically, it sounds. So I don't have any qualm with you having two teams, my friend.
Yeah, also, you can always give a shout out to yourself when you're retired military.
Amen.
Thanks for your service.
Appreciate that, fellas. Appreciate that.
Hey, and I agree, man. Listening to your story, you actually have a reason. It's not just like, yeah, you know, the Dodgers are winning, and they just had some cool players, so
Yeah, it's too bad.
So that kind of does bring me to another topic. So I don't know if you are, I was listening to some of the other sports programs earlier this morning, and it seemed to be focused on the value of a lot of these professional teams out there. And I want to say some of the teams, or a lot of the teams, they're just not winning teams. Like you had the Cowboys listed at I want to say like $4.5 billion. No, I'm sorry. The Cowboys were, I think, over $5 billion.
I think it might have been $7 billion, bro. I think it was like seven.
No, yes, sir. Yeah, it was
$7 billion and 3 playoff wins in the last 26 years. Hoo-yah!
Right. Yeah. Teams like the New York Knicks. I haven't seen the Knicks in the playoffs since I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no direct correlation from being good and being worth something.
New York Mets, 1986.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how are these teams, the most valuable teams out there? And then I'm a huge Sacramento Kings fan because that is my hometown. I was there when they, their first game at Arco Arena. I've been at, actually, I have not been at the third Arco. Well, it's not even Arco. I think it's Golden One now. But I remember being at Arco 1, Arco 2. I've been with them ride or die since the beginning. So the overall question is what do you think it takes for teams that are in these smaller markets to attract players and attract that revenue to get themselves recognized? Kind of like Milwaukee. I guess they just got the lottery draft when they drafted Antetokounmpo. I can't say his name, Giannis.
Oh, yeah, Giannis Antetokounmpo, yeah.
They're on ESPN every night. And I remember back in the day, back in the early 2000s when Sacramento got Chris Webber, they were winning, they were doing stuff. But these smaller market teams, they just do not get any type of recognition, any type of airtime when it comes to sports.
I think one thing it takes a superstar, but then it takes a superstar to a whole nother degree, because you can have the superstar who ends up getting in a conversation with LeBron James, a la Anthony Davis, and it's like, come here and we can make something big happen. Then you can have the superstar like what you've got in Milwaukee right now that you're talking about, the Greek freaking Giannis, where he is looking to build something there in Milwaukee, at least what it seems like to this point. So I think that you got to have a guy who's willing to go through some growing pains to get there, and unfortunately in this day and age of instant gratification, I think that's what we run into a lot of the times.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I've not heard that one yet. That's a really good point. Sam, what you think?
I think it really depends on the sport more than anything else, but and it also depends on the front office. What are they trying to do? Are they trying to purely get the best out of their team as far as from the business side, or do they need to? Are they trying to win? Like a team like Atlanta Braves, for example, they really make their most money when they're winning. Whereas the New York Yankees, they're going to make money regardless. So it really depends on the market and how they're trying to gain their revenue. Because at the end of the day, it is a business, and it's terrible for small market teams. But really, the only way that they can make money is to win. And so they have to do things like hard business decisions where their stars can't stay, and they have to try to build up and make a good team to win so that they can actually make some money.
Got it. I'm going to leave you guys with this if you guys don't mind. So, I think after the NBA Finals and, that little bit of a lull between, the end of June until August, September football, what do you guys do as far as sports in that time frame? I know, baseball is a thing, but it's not really a thing until I want to say, August, September time frame. So what do you guys do to fill that void as far as sports are concerned?
Who's going first here?
Like what we talk about on here?
Well, not just that. What I think you're talking kind of more personally, right, Rob?
Well, not so much personal. Well, for me, it's like the dead zone in sports. Baseball doesn't really start to pick up. There's 182 games in a baseball season. They're really not all that important until it comes down to, the next few months, right?
Right.
I disagree. I disagree.
You disagree?
Oh, yeah. There's 162 games, and every single one of them is worth 162nd percentile. So,
Okay.
They're all weighted exactly the same.
Yeah, Sam and I are tough people to ask because I think we both really love baseball. But
See, so I can answer that to a little bit different tune. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the wholesome answer is spend more time with my family.
Well, so I was actually gonna say, so for me, I am in agreement. Like I have baseball on the TV every night. You know what I mean? Like I've got the Braves game on, but sometimes I'm not paying to the same. I'm not paying attention to the same tune as what I am going to be in August, September. So for me, after football season, then you get through the toil of the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. I'm not going to lie to you. As much as I try to pay attention as much as possible, this is the time of the year where I do kind of try to spend more time with my fiance, and it's not necessarily an off time, but it is like. I can go back and I can read a box score of a Braves game or a box score of the rest of the games happening around the league, and I don't think that it does as much detriment as if I just take a whole Saturday off not watching football.
You got to put in the goodwill so you have football weekends. But I've gotten into a few other things too. I know like everyone obviously on here loves sports. Like I got into Formula One a little bit more, which I never thought I would because I couldn't get into NASCAR and the Drive to Survive thing on Netflix.
I'm a left turn kind of guy.
Yeah, but there's just different stuff like that. I mean, because ESPN, all you got is MLB. I'm not really. I guess there's WNBA going on too. I don't really know much about that. Just that the Chicago Sky won a year ago.
Yeah, I'm clueless when it comes to. I can manage this Panama City traffic, but that's about it.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt.
Maybe try and golf.
Hey, Rob, I'm up against the break. Thanks so much for the call, my man. I loved all the stuff that you had to bring to the table today.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. We've got Sam Peebles riding with us. Max, you got time for one more?
I got to go back.
He's got to go.
I'm on tilt. We got Happ and Contreras on the line for 10 more minutes. So.
All right, man. We are getting close to the trade deadline, and when we get back, we're going to let Sam just kind of take it away with what the Braves did yesterday, his thoughts on it, and we're also going to open the lines up for some trivia. The question is, I'll go ahead and give it to you guys. Matt Olson, Austin Riley, both on pace to tally more than 85 extra base hits. Eddie Matthews, Hank Aaron, Chipper Jones, the only Braves to reach this total in the modern era. No two Braves have had at least 80 extra base hits in the same season. Who was the last Braves duo to record at least 75 extra base hits in the same season? We're going to take a quick time out. You guys give me the answer, and you're going to be winning a Rib Crib gift card and an ESPN Northwest Florida t-shirt.
It's the 5-year flyaway from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Ron West, you just won the 5-year flyaway to see the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, good gosh almighty. Oh, I lived there in Georgia. My wife and I was there when they went from last to first in 1990.
Oh, man.
And, you just made my heart. I'm an old Buford, Georgia boy.
We're sending you home, Ron.
We're sending you home.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Great design is timeless, and that's why Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves offers a stunning selection of vintage, antique, estate jewelry on sale now at 40% off. Exquisite Victorian rings, Art Deco diamond brooches, Georgian and Art Deco bracelets, earrings, and pendants. These one-of-a-kind pieces add personality to any ensemble, and now at 40% off. Find your timeless treasure at Tracy's Fine Jewelry inside Coin and Bullion Reserves.
Hi, I'm Kevin Shady with KHS & Associates. We represent private insurance providers using multiple nationwide PPO networks for pre-negotiated discounted rates and no copays, no co-insurance, and no deductibles. If you're interested in a quote, give us a call or text 502-386-1128 and provide us your zip code and the ages and gender of those to include. Call or text us at 502-386-1128. That's 502-386-1128.
Since 1955, Buddy Gandy's Seafood Market has been providing their customers with the freshest seafood in Panama City. Whether you're cooking something small or hosting a big get-together, Buddy Gandy's has you covered with a variety of fish, oysters, shrimp, crab legs, live blue crabs, a steam bar, and more. They'll even clean your catch for you. Open 7 days a week near the intersection of Beck Avenue and Highway 98. Don't forget to mention 104.3 ESPN for your 10% discount. Visit Buddy Gandy Seafood Market on Facebook.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. You're riding shotgun with the Afternoon Underdogs. We're going to need some gas money. The Afternoon Underdogs.
Fill her up, please.
At 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. We're inside the Rib Crib Radio Room, and this is a little time for trivia. I'm going to open the phone lines up. Give me the last Braves duo to record at least 75 extra base hits in the same season. And if I got to give hints as the show goes on, I might do it. Do you know the answer? Like off the top of your head?
Only because one of the players is one of my favorite Braves of all time.
See, and one of them, well, one guy, I'm sure that we both probably did, emulated at least at one point in time the batting stance.
Oh, absolutely.
And then one was, outside of Andrew Jones, my favorite Brave of all time. So let's get over to the phone line, see what we got here. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs, and you are on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, David, welcome back, buddy. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing fantastic. Oh, this is Rob. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah. All right, man. I was just giving a call. I was just going to make a guess and see if it was Glenn Hubbard and Dale Murphy.
No. A little bit. Okay. A little bit. I can give you this, guys. It's after the year 2000 because Andrew Jones had 78 and Chipper Jones had 75 in the year 2000. So it's after that. Thanks so much for the call, Rob.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Hey, yes, sir. I got 4 minutes left in this segment, and I got a text not too long ago, a comment from Jeff Ledford. Says he says the Braves' entire defense is elite. I've never heard a single person say Austin's defense is not good. You're no Braves expert. So I'll give you the don't get angrified here, Sam, but give me your take on Austin Riley's defense, and I'm sure that we're not just talking purely off of opinion here.
No. So, first of all, every player that plays in Major League Baseball is good defensively. That's why when you have the eye test, that's why they look so good. But when you look at Austin Riley versus his peers at third base, he is not good. And what I mean by that is, first, the Braves' defense is not elite. They have the 16th best defense in Major League Baseball as far as their overall defensive rating goes. If you look at Austin Riley, for qualified third baseman, he in the National League, not Major League Baseball.
Just in the National League.
15
teams.
He is 12th in SDI, which is Sabre Defensive Index, which takes in Fangraphs, defensive metrics, it takes in StatCast, it takes in everything, all the ones that matter. He's got 11 third basemen that are better than him just in the National League defensively. If you look at defensive runs saved, he's got -2. If you look at outs above average, he's like in the bottom 2%.
Yeah.
He's not good defensively. What he does looks great. It's aesthetically pleasing to the eye because he's a Major League third baseman.
Yeah.
Right? So basically, the eye test will tell you he looks good. That's because he plays in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
But if you look at him versus his peers, he's not.
Yeah. Yeah, see, and I love that take, too, because you really break it down, and we can watch things, and when we're watching 1 out of 30 teams, everything's going to look good to us.
Right.
These guys are getting paid. Austin Riley just got a 10-year, $212 million extension. So, of course, when you're just watching the Braves, it's going to look that way. But then when you're diving into the actual numbers of what's going on, and that's the difference between, as you say, Jeff, no, you're not an expert. Well, experts spend their time studying the numbers, and so I would implore you to listen to a little bit more of the Braves Dugout podcast, and maybe you would disagree with your own statement there, because Sam is an expert, and there's a reason why I don't go getting off into arguments with him, because I can say one thing and believe it wholeheartedly, and then he's going to hit me with a barrage of facts, not just numbers, but also numbers to back those numbers up. And that's just the way that it is. Still looking for a trivia winner. We've only got actually, I got to go to break here. So we're going to go to break. And when we get back, I'm going to let Sam dig into the 3 moves that the Braves have made to this point in the deadline. And by the time that we get back, the deadline will have come and went. So what are we going to do, man? We're just going to have to find out what Sam thinks about what's going on with the Atlanta Braves and how Alex Anthopoulos did this year.
ESPN Northwest Florida could bring sports fans like you an app this powerful. The sports content you crave is always on. Live stream us everywhere you go. Now with upgraded programming and live game schedules, you'll always know when the Atlanta Braves and your favorite games are playing. Plus, interact with our local hosts in real time and so much more. The new app for the sports fanatic is available at the Apple Store and Google Play. From 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Weather forecast for this afternoon, partly to mostly sunny near 90, and it looks like a southwest wind 10 to 15, spotty showers at thunderstorms, water temperature in the Gulf 87. Those showers at thunderstorms will be kicking around tonight, partly cloudy in the mid-70s, more showers at thunderstorms expected Wednesday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Earthworks of Northwest Florida knows it's a perfect time for you to update your home. Whether it's routine touch-ups or a new look, Earthworks has just what you need. Sand, stone, mulch, and gravel, pickup or delivery. Visit earthworks.com and request a quote. Discover your dream landscape with Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Love the land you live on. Earthworks of Northwest Florida, 2005 Industrial Drive.
Golf Plus is your premier golf shop on the Gulf Coast. Not a big box or a chain store, but a local store with golf experts to serve you. An amazing array of demo and fitting products, plus a professional repair shop that can handle anything from a basic re-grip to a full set of re-shafts and everything in between. Golf Plus has locations in Dothan and Panama City Beach to serve you. Come see them today for all your golf needs. Located next to Firefly at the shops at Edgewater. Call 850-249-2726.
Get game. WGSX Lynn Haven, WTOT, W271DM Mariana, Paulette, SC, ESPN Northwest Florida.
PCB Coins and Cards is the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, coins, and trading card games. PCB Coins and Cards carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Coins and Cards has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel, rookie, game used, and autograph cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? Bring it in and let us take a look. We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Coins and Cards on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call them today at 850-320-8388.
Transmission starts in 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from the Rib Crib Radio Room. The Afternoon Underdogs are taking your calls live. 850-215-6290. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Hot in, so hot in here, so hot in.
Ooh, we had to turn the air down, man. It's getting a little hot in here. Who was the last Braves duo to record at least 75 extra base hits in the same season? 850-215-6290 for your chance to win a $25 gift certificate to a Rib Crib. We're in the Rib Crib radio room right now. Also an ESPN Northwest Florida t-shirt. And since we haven't got a correct answer yet, I'm also going to throw in a $25 gift card to Barbaritos. Now, Let's get into the Braves update right here. The trade deadline has passed. We did get a couple of moves right at the end. Noah Syndergaard is headed to the Phillies. What did they get? Former first overall pick. Oh wait, no. The Phils are also getting Mickey. Is that Moniak? Mickey Moniak. So there you go for the Phillies. There was a little talk of the Braves possibly picking up Syndergaard. I don't know how I would have necessarily felt about that. Hasn't had the greatest season with the Angels this year, but break down for me how you're feeling about what Anthopoulos did with this trade deadline.
He did what he does best. He takes, needs and fills them that no one's even really talking about. I really, really liked the Robbie Grossman trade. In fact, I suggested that they make that trade last year, but they got Adam Duvall instead, which worked out perfectly fine. But Robbie Grossman absolutely destroys left-handed pitching. And he was having a down year overall. If you look at his overall stat sheet, you're like, oh, he only hit 200. He's got 2 home runs. Why in the world would the Braves want him? Well, it's because he profiles as a platoon player. You only should be playing Robbie Grossman against left-handed pitching. But the Tigers are so bad that they had to play him against right-handed pitchers too. So that brings down his overall stat line quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
When you bring a player like that over to a competitive team where they can run a platoon, then you've got Robbie Grossman who right now has a 161 runs created plus against left-handed pitchers. That's 61% above league average. That's better than Austin Riley, against left-handed pitching. And he did the same thing last year. He just absolutely kills left-handed pitching. He doesn't have a ton of pop, but he gets on base like crazy. And why that's so important is that the Braves lead the National League in home runs, but they're like in the bottom half of the league in on base percentage.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing, that's why I really wanted Andrew Benintendi on the Braves. Of course, he cost a lot more, which is why the Braves didn't get him.
And the Yankees did.
Right. But it makes more sense for the Braves to get Grossman anyways, just because of they had the worst ranked prospects in farm system in Major League Baseball. But with Grossman, now you have a guy that historically is great against lefties. He's going to get on base, so the guys that have the power can knock him in. So you're going to, that's someone that's going to be on base. So when, Matt Olson or Austin Riley, Ronald Acuna hits a home run, depending on where they put him in the lineup, he's going to be on base to knock him in. That 1-run home run turn into a 2-run home run. And it makes a lot of sense that they added him. He's also better defensively than Marcell Ozuna, Eddie Rosario, all those guys. They needed defense in left field because they lost one of the best defenders in the league in Adam Duvall.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I really, really like the Will Smith trade for multiple reasons. The Astros, man, I don't know what they're thinking. I know they needed a left-handed reliever, so sure, you're going to pick up Will Smith. And obviously, us here in Panama City love Will Smith. Pitched for Gulf Coast State College. Totally rooting for the guy, but he brought negative value to the Braves. He had that big 3-year contract. In the 3 years he pitched for them, he had negative 0.7 wins above replacement. The only good year he had was last year, and thank goodness he did.
And it was really just the postseason, wasn't it?
Yeah, he struck out or got 11 straight out in the postseason. 11 scoreless innings in the postseason. So without Will Smith, the Braves might not have won the World Series last year. So thank you, Will Smith. But Odorizzi from the Astros, he's not a scrub. Like, as far as his expected stats, his expected slugging percentage against him, his expected weighted batting average against him, expected weighted on-base average against him, they're all in the top 35, 40% in the league. His expected ERA is right exactly what his ERA is, which is 3.75. He's a massive upgrade over how Ian Anderson is pitching right now. Odorizzi would make most competitive teams better, yet the Astros traded him for a guy who's having one of the worst seasons of his career. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me why the Astros made the trade. Makes a ton of sense why the Braves did.
Mm-hmm.
Ian Anderson is underperforming. He's got 3 minor league options. So that's not saying they have to send Ian Anderson down, but it gives the Braves options. They can either run a 6-man rotation. They can do what I like to call a 5.5-man rotation, where you'll do a 6th man every second time out. They've done that in the past. And then when it gets later in the year, if they feel like Spencer Strider's getting too many innings, they can kind of pull him back, either move him to the bullpen or have have spot starts here and there. If Ian Anderson continues to struggle, they can send him down to work on some stuff. No big deal. He's got 3 minor league options, which means he can come right back up whenever they want him to. No harm, no foul. And it just made the team overall way better, because that was one area that they were weak. I would say, quote unquote, weak in was rotation depth. They had very solid 3 to 4 guys, but depth was pretty thin. And then Adrianza, I mean, that trade was really just, let's just fill Robinson Cano's spot for free, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, they traded a guy no one's ever heard of, and Adrianza, obviously not good offensively this year, but Cano didn't bring offense or defense, whereas Adrianza at least brought flexibility throughout the diamond. In a pinch, they can throw him out there, and if they get someone better at the trade deadline, oh, okay, if they get rid of Adrianza, DFA him or whatever, no big deal. It's really just a pure depth move. That's one thing that Alex Anthopoulos is really good at, is he's not AJ Preller going out there trying to make the splashy trades, get the big names. That's fun for fans, absolutely. As a fan of baseball, I love what the Padres are doing. But what wins championships is what Alex Anthopoulos is doing. He's finding needs to upgrade. You need to find your weakness and you need to upgrade it. It's not about who has the most stars. It's who fills out the roster and their depth the most with what they have. And I really like the deadline.
Well, you even go back to last year's deadline, and with Rosario, Soler, Jock Peterson was a little bit different. Like, he had the name kind of already. But even myself, I remember texting you last year and being like, well, how do you think that these guys are going to fill in? It didn't feel like a splash of a deadline. And then you get to the month of October, and all of a sudden, all of those moves are like, wow, how did he make that happen? And so it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the San Diego Padres, who made all of these splashy moves, but that isn't guaranteed to translate into wins when you're doing it from the standpoint of not just name only, but what you bring to the weaknesses of our team. That's how you make your team stronger.
Absolutely. The Braves knew they needed a guy that could hit lefties in the outfield with defense. They went and got it for basically nothing. They knew they needed to add a starter. They didn't get. Not only did they get it for nothing, like they got out of Will Smith's contract. It's the little things. When you're already good, like the Braves, you don't need to make massive moves. What wins games is finding weaknesses and making them not weaknesses anymore.
And with Kirby Yates coming, did that also affect the way that Alex Anthopoulos was going about this trade deadline?
I would imagine so, and I think that's one of the reasons why they brought Odorizzi as well, because not many people, not a lot of Braves fans really notice this. It's really because when you look at the relief corps of any team, if you look at any fan base across Major League Baseball, they're going to complain about their bullpen, because the bullpen is the last pitcher out there who ends up giving up the run that, ultimately the team could lose. And the Braves had more save opportunities than anyone in all of Major League Baseball, but they've had the best bullpen in all of baseball, right? They have the most wins above replacement as in the relief corps across all baseball. And sure, they don't have a shutdown closer. Kenley Jansen's a little older. Will Smith was underperforming, but literally, look at that bullpen. Will Smith was literally the only guy that any team, every single other person in the Braves bullpen, any team would be happy to have.
Yeah.
From top to bottom, that bullpen is solid. So maybe they don't have a shutdown closer, but when you make it to the postseason, it gets away from depth and more into role playing, like what your role is. When you have guys when you have that deep of a bullpen, and you have guys like Spencer Strider, who you can pull in there real quick and, throw some 100-mile-per-hour gas at the end of the bullpen, you don't necessarily have to have a quote-unquote closer.
Right.
Like, a closer is just a title. It's not like we have to get a closer. No, you get the best bullpen possible, and then you work it out. And that's what the Braves have done, and it's looking good.
Yeah, and you kind of had, you had a great point earlier when we were talking before the show started about when it comes to postseason play, you can march Charlie Morton out there for 3 innings, and then you can go with a guy like Spencer Strider, or you can go with the, what's the, Dylan Lee.
Right.
I mean, he's had a great year as well. Now, I did kind of have the question of, is it going to hurt losing that left-handed presence in the bullpen?
If they were good, yes.
Okay.
But like I said, Will Smith has provided negative value, so
Yeah.
you'd be better to not even throw him out there in the
Mhm.
first place. So if it was like a league average left-hander, sure, because then you can bring him in and play the matchups, and that's why the Braves were the main reason the Braves were successful last year in the postseason is they were playing those matchups. Don't know why that doesn't happen in the regular season, but in the postseason they played the matchups correctly, and that's ultimately what really won the World Series for him. And so it does matter. And it matters much more in the bullpen than it does in the starting rotation if you have lefties and righties, which is why I'm assuming the Astros traded from their depth, which is their rotation, to get a left-handed arm in the bullpen. That's why it makes sense to me. But the Braves are fine in that aspect.
Good stuff there, Sam. Man, looking at the Austin Riley deal yesterday, $212 million. You got Matt Olson, who got $168 million for 8 years. Ronald Acuna Jr., 8 years, $100 million. What's Ozzie Albies? I think he's got about 5 more years left of control with him. And what's he getting? 30? Is it $35 million for Ozzie Albies?
Yeah, for his entire.
How do the Braves continue to I don't want to say exploit because I don't think that they're exploiting. I think that it really just comes down to the environment that the Braves have to offer.
Hey, so since we're talking about the Braves bullpen, they just picked up the Angels closer, Raciel Iglesias, which is awesome, dude. I feel like a freak. I'm just going to toot my own horn right here. I wrote an article last year saying the Braves should pick him up in the offseason, and I said they should get Robbie Grossman last year at the trade deadline, and now it's all coming true.
So you're just a year behind.
yeah.
But I love that though, man. Because I noticed you start to smiling about something. So that kind of adds to that number one bullpen status.
Oh yeah. They just got rid of the weakest link of their bullpen, and then just added an established closer. Man, what a freaking move!
What?
And he's got 4 years of control left. He's on the Braves for years to come.
And he's coming from the Angels, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Man, wow, that is good stuff. We got a call coming in. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Who we got on the air with us?
Hey, it's AG.
Hey, G, what you got going on, my friend?
Hey, your Braves are welcome, man, because the Reds are stupid and traded Raisel Iglesias to the Angels, and then for one player who they DFA'd 4 months later. So you're welcome. Now you have 4 years of control of one of the best closers in baseball, thanks to the Reds being stupid.
The Reds, I feel like, have just been supplying baseball with studs.
That's a really good point, but I do have to say, coming from a Braves fan, times like these are terrible. As a Reds fan, I know that feeling because the Braves went through this a few years ago, and I do think ultimately the Reds are doing right by their organization and doing what they're doing. And if they continue to play, if they continue to draft well, if they continue to make moves like this, they could be in the Braves position in a few years. I think it's the right move that they're making. They just haven't executed it perfectly yet, but time will tell.
AG, I do got somebody on the line, but before I let you go, which move has, and I hate to pose it like this, and we'll talk more about it when I have you on next time, but which move that the Reds have made throughout the entirety of the season, starting with the beginning of basically just stockpiling the Mariners, which move has hurt the most for you as a Reds fan?
Man, that's tough, but, I mean, Castillo and Miley, the haul we got back for him, I'm okay with those. Them not signing Castellanos definitely hurt because we were so close last year, but honestly, dude, them trading Brandon Drury when, they could have easily extended him for very, very cheap, really kind of hurt me a little bit today.
Man, I hate that for you. I was kind of hoping that the Braves maybe were going to reach out there and get Brandon Drury, but he's on his way to Slam Diego. Thanks so much for the call, AG.
Yes, sir.
All right, we've got Jeff Ledford over here on line 2. He's going to play some trivia with us. Give me the answer for who was the last Braves duo to record at least 75 extra base hits in the same season.
Freddie Freeman and Ozzie Albies.
That is not the correct answer that we're looking for, Jeff. Do you got anything else?
No, well, I know. I'm pretty sure Albies is part of that. So, other than that,
just think earlier.
Yeah, a little bit earlier, a little bit after the year 2000.
Think of one of the most iconic batting stances of all time.
Gary Sheffield.
Yep. Now give me the other player.
No, it's either Chipper or Andrew. I'm gonna go with Chipper.
No, sir. Thanks so much, though. Hey, Jeff, we'll holler at you later, my friend.
All right, man.
All right, good stuff there. Gary Sheffield is one of the answers, guys. 850-215-6290. If you do think of it, Jeff, we'll still take another call from you to get the winner down. He was one of my players, one of my favorite players, bar none. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. 850-215-6290. Who do we got here with us on line one? Go ahead, you're on the air.
What's up, my man? It's Corey. How you guys doing today?
Corey, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing, buddy?
Nothing, man. I had to shoot you that text earlier on the Dolphins because I'm pretty sure they have 2 first-round picks next year. But anyway, thank you for the Gary Sheffield. So I'm going to go with Chipper.
Oh, man, that is exactly what Jeff Ledford just led off with. Man, that is not...
I thought he said Andrew Jones. Man.
I'm not looking for either one of the Jones brothers because they did it in the year 2000. Andrew Jones had 78, Chipper Jones 75. Corey, let's get you back in here to talk some football with us here in the future. Jeff, you as well, my friend.
All right, guys. I love you, man.
All right, love you too, brother. Thanks so much for the call. Guys, I'm telling you, this... All right, so... I'll put it to you this way, since we've had a few callers now. Think captain of the defense, but, you know, there's 3 different positions on the field you could consider a captain, all right? But this guy pretty much runs the whole show and was one of the greatest to do it for the Atlanta Braves. We do got to take a quick timeout. 850-215-6290 for your chance to win $25 gift card to Rib Crib, $25 to Barbaritos, and an ESPN t-shirt. We're going to be right back in just a few short moments.
Hey, Braves fans. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida has your chance to win weekly prizes from Slim Chicken, Rudy's Barbecue, That Boot Store, Guthrie's, and Rib Crib with Atlanta Braves Trivia. Step 1, open the ESPN Northwest Florida app and click Braves Trivia. Step 2, answer trivia about a recent game. Step 3, score some tasty prizes and come home a hero. The Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast. Listen live on 104.3 in the ESPN Northwest Florida app.
Weather forecast for this afternoon, partly to mostly sunny near 90, and it looks like a southwest wind 10 to 15, spotty showers of little storms, water temperature in the Gulf 87. Those showers of little storms will be kicking around tonight, partly cloudy in the mid-70s, more showers of little storms expected Wednesday. This weather forecast has been brought to you by KHS and Associates, your source for affordable health insurance. For 104.3 and 102.1 ESPN Northwest Florida, I'm meteorologist Tim Root.
Hi, I'm Kevin Shady with KHS and Associates. We represent private insurance providers using multiple nationwide PPO networks for pre-negotiated discounted rates and no co-pays, no co-insurance, and no deductibles. If you're interested in a quote, give us a call or text 502-386-1128 and provide us your zip code and the ages and gender of those to include. Call or text us at 502-386-1128. That's 502-386-1128.
Living on the Gulf Coast, we have beautiful beaches, clear water, and amazing marine life. Want to bring a piece of the ocean into your home or office with an amazing aquarium? Gulf Coast Aquarium, the area's only certified platinum CCHEM dealer. Their staff are all certified CCHEM specialists. Gulf Coast Aquarium can install, design, maintain, and finance your own piece of the Gulf. Gulf Coast Aquarium, powered by CCHEM, with over 40 years as a U.S.-based manufacturer of quality aquarium products. Online at GulfCoastAquarium.com. Gulf Coast Aquarium, where it's more than just a tank.
Guthrie's Golden Fried Chicken Fingers on Panama City Beach. Fresh, never frozen chicken tenders fried to perfection and served with their famous signature Guthrie sauce. Guthrie's box, snack, and chicken sandwich are sure to please. And for larger gatherings, try the family meal or Guthrie's Chicken Finger Bucket. Let Guthrie's cater your next event. Find their daily specials on Facebook on Front Beach Road across from the Beach Shopping Center. Since 1965, fresh, hot, and fast. Now available on DoorDash and Uber Eats.
From the Florida Bama line to the Gulf of Mexico, from the Upper Grand Lagoon to Mackenzie Park, we are live and local.
Whether you like it or not, you have a gift.
Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, live from the Rib Crib Radio Room, ESPN Northwest Florida.
Throw your hands in the air if you's a
true player. I love it when you call me Big Papa. To the honeys getting
All right, you guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. It's 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Got a couple of tidbits of information to deal with that trade for Rosario Iglesias. And you were showing me some of the charts. Now, it does look like a foreign language to me when you show me those charts. I still don't know everything that's happening there, but Sam was explaining to me just how good the closing pitcher that the Braves just landed was. But we've got Trey on line one. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. Do you got an answer for trivia? Who was the last Braves duo to record at least 75 extra base hits in the same season?
He said Gary Sheffield, and then was it Rafael for call?
Oh, man, he was also one of my favorites, and I did say captain, and a shortstop normally is one of your captains on the defensive side of the ball. I loved Rafi for call, man, but that is not the answer we're looking for.
All right, thank you.
All right, Trey, thanks so much, man. You have a great day. Over to line two, we got Coach Olds on the line with us. Coach Olds, who do you got here with Gary Sheffield?
We got Lopez. The catcher is the one who protects the umpire. So that's who's the captain of the team.
Yes, sir. Javier Lopez, man, my favorite to do it. Coach Olds, I got you. I got you taken care of. All right, my man?
All right, thank you so much.
Yes, sir. All right. So, man, good stuff there. Now, when it comes to this trade, the Braves did give away who was it? Jesse Chavez. Oh, and Tucker Davidson as well. How do you feel about those two guys moving for a star closer like Iglesias? Good riddance?
Oh, yeah. I mean, not good riddance, but I'm actually surprised they're able to land him for that. I think they kind of caught the Angels in a situation where the Angels wanted to sell, but they didn't really get a deal that they wanted, and Alex Anthopoulos hit him right at the last minute and was like, hey, better to get this than nothing. Although Iglesias still has 3 years of control left, so it is kind of crazy. But I think the Angels are trying to shed some salary. They got rid of Iglesias, and now they got rid of Thor. I think that's what happened. But Tucker Davidson, he got drafted really high. He has some high upside, but he's been trending down in the prospect charts. I mean, he used to be a top 100 prospect, no longer is up there. His peripherals and everything don't support his. Let's just say he was due for some regression, right? And so he was trending down, and Jesse Chavez has been amazing for the Braves. But at the end of the day, he really, in the past few years, the Braves are the only team he's pitched great for.
That's actually, and he's actually, according to the numbers that I read on MLB.com today, he's having one of the best years of his career.
Right.
He also just broke a record, Jesse Chavez did. I was reading an article earlier today where Jesse Chavez has been traded 9 times. There was another guy, I forget his name, back in 1956. He was going to be traded for Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson was going to get traded to the San Francisco Giants. Maybe they were the New York Giants at that time, but it was a rival, so Jackie Robinson decided to retire. All right, so that basically is an asterisk around that guy. It would have been his 10th time traded. However, Jesse Chavez, with the trade today, has been traded 10 times, twice on the same day. So just an amazing story. If you go to MLB.com, the story is there, and it's just a great piece of information. I love tidbits like that. A lot of fun. And the article basically ended with, we're so late into the trade deadline today that he's unlikely to be traded. And, after 5 o'clock, we're getting the information. I love baseball, man. It is awesome. Congratulations to Coach Olds for winning trivia. Congratulations to Ron West for winning our 5-year flyaway. The Braves and the Phillies go at it tonight. A little 2-game set, and then 5 straight with the Mets because we got a doubleheader on Saturday. 2 Saturdays in a row we're going to have a doubleheader this week with the Mets, next week with the Marlins, so we'll see how all that plays out. Let's grade some of these trades, but first, this segment brought to you by Bay Handyman Services. They listen better. They plan better. When you do both of those things, you are going to build better. Reach them at their office number, 850-753-5014. They've got 24/7 emergency services. You can also reach them on their website, bayhandymanservices.com. They hold a 5-star rating. They'll do anything from hanging pictures to even remodeling your whole entire house. Let's start with, I know we didn't give him a letter grade earlier, and I'm not really going to be giving the grades here. I'm going to leave this up to the guy who studies these guys. Let's start with the biggest trade of the day. Padres getting Juan Soto, Josh Bell from the Nationals for Mackenzie Gore, C.J. Abrams, Robert. You said Robert Hessel? Is that how it's pronounced? I said Hassel earlier in the show, and I just
I'm probably mispronounced.
Okay, well, if we don't know, I've never heard his name pronounced on a broadcast before. If we could put it that way. Also, James Wood and Yarlin Susana. So, give me a grade here. Give me a grade for the Padres, and give me a grade for the Nationals.
All right, so obviously Juan Soto is an elite player. Even though he's having a quote-unquote down year, he's still hitting 58% better than league average, and his defense has gotten better. He's got 3.5 wins above replacement already this year. Elite talent. Obviously, the Padres are better for acquiring him. The Padres are going for it. It makes sense for them. I'm going to say, I'm not going to give it an A, though. I'm going to give it a solid B, just because they gave up all this future talent. I mean, these guys that they gave up are not some scrubs. Like, these are guys that hold significant, not only prospect value, but guys that are going to would have helped their team for years to come. I'm going to give them a B just because I truly believe they're just trading for Juan Soto just for the 2.5 years he has left. I do not foresee them extending Juan Soto for $500 million, having Manny Machado for 10 years, having Fernando Tatis for all that time. They just paid $44 million to the Red Sox to take Eric Hosmer from them. So, like, they've got all this money tied up.
It's do or die.
Right, and I don't see them being able to extend Juan Soto. If they do, they're not going to be competitive many years after that because all their funds are going to be tied up in 4 players.
You got to get them while they're still in love with the game completely and get them to a very team-friendly contract a la the Atlanta Braves.
Yes. You have to do the Ronald Acuna, Wander Franco, Luis Robert type deals. That's what you need to be doing if you want to stay successful.
Yeah, because it's so hard. I mean, look at the Angels. We hear year in and year out, Mike Trout, best player in baseball. Mike Trout's the best player in baseball. Oh, now we got Shohei Ohtani, which is the biggest spectacle in baseball. And I don't mean that in a negative manner. I just mean, come on, look what he's doing. But you've got arguably 2 of the best players in baseball, and you ain't doing diddly squat with it.
Right.
Takes a team.
What I like to say is Major League Baseball is not the NBA. You know, like, if you get someone like LeBron James in his prime, he is 1/5 of the starting lineup. Mm-hmm. He can at least get you in the conversation of being in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball, you're fielding not only your 9 players out there on offense, you're also fielding a bullpen and a starting rotation. You cannot spend all of your money. Even if you're the New York Yankees, you cannot spend all of your money on 3 or 4 players. Mm-hmm. If you have a budget, you have to spread it out and fill these holes, and the Angels have not been doing that.
Yeah, man. Wow. Eric Hosmer never held up the deal by any stretch of the imagination, but there was the murmurs, the rumors that, you know, he's gonna hold this whole trade up and be, you know, enemy number 1 in San Diego. The Red Sox end up getting him, but do you have a problem? Like, if you were Eric Hosmer, do you, you know, I don't know how to put it, but enforce your no trade clause? Maybe that's the right way to put it.
Well, here's the thing. Baseball is a business, and every time someone gets traded, the owners or the GMs or whatever say, hey, it's a business. Mm-hmm. Well, if they can do that, the players can too. Mm-hmm. So if the players have a no trade clause, they have just as much right to exercise it. And why in the world, as a veteran player, would you want to go to a team that is in a massive rebuild?
Could we say the worst team in baseball?
Yeah, probably so.
But as far as run differential, right? They're far and away. Yeah. Like, honestly, if they were just playing a little bit better, they would make the National League East look a little bit better.
Right. Well, I saw a meme earlier today that just kind of explained it. It showed
all that they've gotten rid of in them. Okay.
No, it showed a jersey, and it said here's my jersey of my favorite Nationals player, and it showed Nationals on the front, and on the back it was just blank. Because it's like, Name your favorite national right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, go back, though. I mean, Bryce Harper, gone. Max Scherzer, Trey Turner, same time, same team last year, gone. Juan Soto, gone. And I'm sure that the list goes a little bit deeper than just those big name players.
And you can even go further and say Steven Strasburg, because he's a star player, but he's never on the field, which is another reason why you got to be careful with those massive contracts.
Yeah. And do you think that it's more or less that time is running its course, or the money's getting to the player's head?
No, I don't think so. It's just truly
like when they get those big contracts.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think it's more so players are taught you get underpaid now and get your paycheck later.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's got to play a psychological role. You've spent all those years. You've got at least 6 years where you're under team control, where you're making well below your market value year after year, and then you finally get this payday. You've worked your butt off. I mean, think about it. It makes me think back when I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I knew I needed to do well in college, and so I was pushing, and then I just got to a point where I was burnt out. You know, I'm sure that there's some players that do that too. You know, they've been pushing for not only the 6 years that they've been a pro, but for every year that they've been a minor leaguer, every year that they've been in college. And now they finally make that massive payday, and in Major League Baseball, it's guaranteed.
Yeah.
They could literally never play again, and they're still going to be making that paycheck.
Bare minimum, they're going to be getting that Bobby Bonilla money.
Right. Or you could be like Robinson Cano, who's been on 3 different teams making like $26 million this year. So.
The richest guy in AAA, man.
Right.
No doubt about it. All right, we got to take a couple more timeouts, but we're going to take this one right here. When we get back, we're going to keep it rolling with Great in the Trades, and then we're going to finish the show up with what's going on with the Atlanta Braves tonight, taking on Nick Nelson from the Rutherford Rams, now pitching for the Philadelphia Phillies, and our post-deadline expectations for the Bravos.
To the left now.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Seth Greenberg is with us, Jay.
What up, baby?
Hey, Will, that's a big-time shirt right there.
You know the producer put him up to that.
I love it.
What would happen if we took a lumberjack shirt and put a garbage bag and cut it in half and put it in front of us?
It would be called fashion.
It would be called fashion, apparently.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings starting at 5 on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Mid-South Lumber has new owners. Stop in and visit Ann and Dave. They're on site every day to make you a priority. They're not the typical big box store, and customer service is their #1 priority. Locally owned and operated for over 40 years. Transform your home with James Hardy Siding. Durability, fire resistant, sustainability. James Hardy Color Plus is virtually maintenance free and comes with a 30-year warranty. Mid-South Lumber, the biggest little lumber yard in Panama City.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likas with today's Car Clinic Minute. Baby, it's cold outside, but you're not the only one who's shivering. Slip on your down jacket and hang out a while, because when I come back, I'll tell you how to rescue your car from the cold.
The Car Clinic Minute.
It's Bobby Likas Car Clinic, brought to you locally by Hewitt Tire and Auto.
Call 850-769-7323.
Your certified AAA service center and hometown towing.
Visit them online at HewittTire.com.
On Airport Road in Panama City.
That's 850-769-7323. Hewitt Tire and Auto Center and hometown towing.
If the dropping mercury has your vehicle frozen and your temper boiling, keep your cool by keeping cold. C-O-L-D. C. Before your morning coffee, check your vehicle. Window frost and ice door locks mean more time getting ready to go, so start early. O. Open frozen doors by heating with a hairdryer or use de-icer on the lock. L. Lights are important, so brush snow from both front and rear lights. D. Defrost the windows and warm the interior, but after you start the engine, back your vehicle out of the garage. Carbon monoxide fumes could really put a chill on your day. I'm Bobby Likas. Like us, you'll love us.
From Mariana to Panama City, from Southport to Laguna Beach, this is the Panhandle's home for live and local sports coverage. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs, live from the Rib Crib Radio Room. ESPN Northwest Florida.
We're going to keep on grading some trades right here on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. You guys are riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes. We've got Sam Peebles, host and creator of the Braves Dugout podcast. Also is a contributor for Morning Shift Media. We've got Fansided MLB, where you write about all MLB teams on Fansided, right?
Correct.
I mean, wow. Not only that, but Sports Talk ATL, Tomahawk Take as well. Just a busy, busy man when it comes to authoring his thoughts on Major League Baseball. Also want to remind you guys, the Phillies and the Braves tonight, Truist Park, 6 o'clock for the coverage start, 6:20 for the first pitch. Spencer Strider, Nick Nelson, and also we are the new radio home for the Mosley Dolphins. You guys can follow the Mosley Dolphins and Coach Tommy Joe Whitten. The excitement, the crowds of high school football are back, and we're going to have live play-by-play right here on the air with myself and Kyle Wright. That's going to be a fun time. Let's keep going with some of the trade grades. But first, before we get into that, Wilson Contreras not being moved by the deadline, surprise or not to you?
I'm surprised, but I'm not, in a sense of once we got down to it and I started seeing moves that were being made, it started to lean that way.
Mm-hmm.
But as like 2 days ago, I would have thought Contreras would have been moved. He should have been moved.
Yeah. I'm just glad he didn't go to the Mets.
Yes, exactly. That is a huge win for the Braves that he did not become a Met. That is a huge win for any competitive team that he did not become a Met. Absolutely. That is the Mets' biggest hole right now is catcher, and they did not fulfill it with the best catcher in the National League. So, yeah.
They went back-to-back with the Pirates on that one.
Right. It's, yeah, big deal that the Mets did not get Contreras.
So give me the grade here for the Dodgers getting Joey Gallo from the Yankees for right-handed pitcher Clayton Beeter.
I would say that's probably like a solid B2, just because a lot of people give Joey Gallo hate because of his low batting average and his down year this year. But when you look at the full package, Joey Gallo is like your prototypical new age baseball player. He does not hit for average, but he gets on base all the time, and he's elite defensively. The thing is, though, this year his stats are down defensively. Everything's down this year, defensively, offensively. So a player that would have costed, top prospects 2 years ago, the Dodgers basically got for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say nothing. The prospect they gave was a decent prospect, but it wasn't like anything that Joey Gallo would have demanded 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now they're gambling, and because of the position the Dodgers are in, they can afford to gamble. And the Dodgers, they can afford to gamble on this prospect. I mean, with Joey Gallo, and the Yankees can gamble on this prospect because they're so deep in the outfield now. And it was a win-win for both teams. It truly was.
I always knew I was going to rue the day when Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton are going to be healthy at the same time.
Right.
And it is rearing its ugly head right now. Let's go to a guy that I don't want to say you were adamant against, but you did not want the Braves to go after, and the Cardinals did go after. I'm talking about starting pitcher Jose Quintana. They also get Chris Stratton from the Pirates for Johan Oviedo and Malcolm Nunez. Give me your grades on that one.
I mean, it makes sense that the Cardinals would go after him. They needed some rotation help, and Quintana is having one of the best years of his career. But when you trade for someone, you're not trading for what they've done to this point.
Mm-hmm.
You're trading for what they're going to do for your team after you acquire them.
Yeah.
And Jose Quintana's peripherals are terrible. He's in almost every expectancy stat, whether it's expected batting average against expected ERA, expected weighted on-base average against whatever. He's in the bottom 25% of the league. So sure, his ERA is decent. He's just around league average when it comes to his ERA. But if he continues to pitch exactly like he is right now, over time, his ERA is going to balloon. And that's not something... It did not make sense for the Braves to get him because it wasn't going to be a good enough upgrade to make any sense. But for a team like the Cardinals, it did. So it was smart for them to go after him. Is that going to move the needle to the point to where they're now the clear favorites to win their division? No, absolutely not. But it is something that they needed, and it was smart.
Um, one of the trades that to me was the wildest was, and really not just because the trade happened, but because in the fashion, in the way that it ended up happening. I'm talking about Astros last night getting catcher from the Red Sox, Christian Vasquez, for infielder, outfielder Emmanuel Valdez, and outfielder Wilyer Abreu. Give me your grade on that for the Astros, who made some decent moves yesterday. Not only Trey Mancini, but also Christian Vasquez, and they're kind of running away with the American League West right now.
I thought it was smart for the Astros. A lot of fans, really wanted a top of the line catcher.
Mm-hmm.
But the Astros really didn't need it. They really just needed a guy that could be, borderline starter slash platoon type partner behind the dish. And Christian Vasquez brought that. They did not have to give up a ton to get him. Although I figured that might have primed them to make a bigger move later. So that's why I thought it made a lot of sense. But they didn't really, they didn't. Trey Mancini is an awesome player with a great story. But I figured they were going backup-ish platoon type catcher so they can make a bigger move later. Didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that they don't think their big move is Will Smith from the Braves, because it's not. But as much as I love Will Smith, big fan of his, that trade was, in and of itself, like in a vacuum, was a good trade. So I mean, at least a B. But overall, I figured it would have led to something else that it didn't.
Yeah, it was almost one of those setup trades.
Right.
And the punchline never settled in.
Right.
Good stuff there. Seattle Mariners, the team that I had. So last year I picked the Detroit Tigers to win the Central, the American League Central, just kind of throwing a team out there, because you know how the Central Leagues get. National League or American League, it really doesn't matter. The fact that the Cubs right now are sitting in third place, they're 15 and a half games out, but still, who knows what could happen. It does look like it's a two-horse race there. Brewers, Cardinals, which way is it going to go? And a lot of people were pegging the Angels this year for the American League West. Well, I'm not just going to come out and be a guy who says Astros, even though I think, with my mental, that the Astros were going to win. So I went Seattle Mariners because I felt like there was a lot of young hype around them. And they were proving it right there at the All-Star break with, the 14-game win streak, or right after the All-Star break, extending it to 14 games. They acquire the pitcher from the Reds, Luis Castillo. Give me a grade for that.
That's fantastic, not only for them, but for the fan base, because it's showing the fan base, hey, we're trying to make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And with the way that the new expanded playoffs, the way they've been playing, they're virtually guaranteed to make the playoffs at a minimum. But the reason I like Luis Castillo for them is not only is he going to help them this year, he's going to help them next year.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously with Julio Rodriguez being up there, and, all the young talent they have, how they're filling that roster up, they're finally doing it the right way. I used to give Dipito a lot of flack, because as much as I love watching trades happen, a lot of them didn't make sense. He was just trading just to trade. But there seems to be a clear vision now, and they're starting to fill out that roster. And it's a really smart move, just because, like I said, not only this year to bring in some revenue from playoff games, as we've seen with the Braves, it's really helped. The Braves are now probably close to a top 5 payroll right now with the moves they made at the deadline. And then, that's how you make money when you're a small market team. You have to be competitive. And so now that they're bringing in someone like Luis Castillo, virtually going to make the playoffs this year, now they're going to bring in money from those playoff games, can use it next year in the offseason, and fill out the roster even more. So I thought it was a really great move.
In the world of baseball, I know that we're giving grades and stuff here, but small market teams get a lot of flack in all of sports, right, for their inability to compete a lot of the times. Is baseball a little bit different? Because, the teams making the biggest splashes, the biggest waves are your Yankees, your Padres. Well, not your Padres, but the last couple of years they have been one of those teams. But your Dodgers, your Red Sox. But look at last year, 88-win Braves win the World Series. 2019, the Nationals won the World Series. Is baseball a little bit different in the fact that small market teams, even though it doesn't look like they compete, they can compete, especially when it comes to the trade deadline, but their chances are a little bit higher?
Well, baseball is different than a lot of major sports just because of it's so cyclical. And what I mean by that is like there is a clear-cut way to be competitive. You build up a roster from drafting, from selling off, and doing clear tanking and doing well, and then building up, building up, building up. You have a competitive window, you sell them off, and then you start over. Like they do that in the NFL and stuff like that, but not to the same effect as baseball. I mean, baseball has had 21 unique champions. There has not been a repeat World Series champion in 22 years. So, and we've had teams like Kansas City Royals win. You know, Tampa Bay Rays, they haven't won a World Series yet, but they're always competitive with hardly any fans. It's more about how the front office is ran rather than just throwing money at your problems and seeing what happens.
That's been one of the biggest anomalies, if you will, to me is the Tampa Bay Rays, especially living there. And when I lived there, yeah, you had names like Fred McGriff and Wade Boggs and stuff like that, but it never really translated into wins. And then all of a sudden, they basically get rid of everybody, and it starts translating to wins, and still the stadium doesn't get packed out. I'm hoping that when they decide to move to the Tampa side of things, or they just lose the team in general, but I'm hoping that they do move it to Tampa and better things happen from it. I mean, I don't know. Growing up, I'm partial to that St. Pete side of things because that's where I was. That's where I was located. I mean, we used to ride bikes and go pay $3 and get inside the stadium, and we're able to watch the games. But that has definitely been something that's maybe even more so an eye opener. That it doesn't matter. Sometimes he was talking earlier. What was his name? Your buddy that called for the shout out.
Oh, Rob Johnson.
Rob Johnson, right? He calls in and he was like, just because you're not winning or losing doesn't really have to do with the value of your squad, right? Well, look at the Rays. They're kind of the opposite, but still prime example of that, where they're winning, but it's not translating into tails in the seats and value for your franchise.
Yeah. There's a lot of variables that play into that Tampa Bay Rays. You know, they're one of the newer teams.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're located is not good, and they're in Braves country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, that's actually a very valid point.
I mean, just look at it. The Marlins don't generate a ton of money either.
Mm-hmm.
It's because the Braves were a superpower on TBS for years. And until we start getting more younger fans, which is happening, but as you get more younger fans in that did not grow up watching the Braves, you're going to have a lot more Braves fans down here in Florida. It's just the way it is. And the Braves are competitive right now. And as much as I hate to say it, when teams are really good, that's when they start gaining more fans. You know, and because of Braves being right there where the Tampa Bay is located, you're right, though. It is truly an anomaly because when the Kansas City Royals were doing well, I mean, like, their players were winning the All-Star game votes every year. I mean, the fans were all about it. And people still talk about the good old days of the Kansas City Royals that weren't that
long ago.
Right.
One more segment left to go. We're going to dive into what's going on with your Atlanta Braves tonight. Nick Nelson on the hill against your Atlanta Braves tonight. A former Rutherford Ram, man. Can't wait to talk about it. And also what Sam thinks about the post-trade deadline expectations for your Atlanta Braves.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Colin Cowherd. Because I think a lot of you think replacing Jimmy Garoppolo is not that hard. That's why the Niner coaches are nervous. Jimmy's a gamer and an alpha, and he's confident. Trey Lance is not there yet. And Jimmy Garoppolo, by the way, may never, ever be close to this good again without Kyle Shanahan. You're probably right. Doesn't matter. We're moving on to Trey Lance.
The Herd, weekdays 11 to 2 on ESPN Northwest Florida. That Boot Store invites you to stop by and help celebrate the opportunity to live in the greatest country on God's green earth, the good old USA. That Boot Store is proud to carry the highest quality American-made boots, along with a complete line of Western accessories. Next to Billboard Kia on 15th Street, open Tuesday through Thursday 9 till 5, Friday and Saturday 9 to 5:30. And remember what Joe always says, put Jesus in your life every day.
Eye care is important. So why is it that you're often crammed into waiting rooms, rushed in and out of appointments, and left feeling like the physician and staff don't care about you at all? At the Eye Studio, things are done differently. The friendly and knowledgeable staff utilize state-of-the-art equipment and testing, plus education to achieve the best results for every patient. If you're looking for a positive, personalized, modern eye care experience, the iStudio is the place for you. Visit iStudioPCB.com for more information.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida are proud members of the Panama City Beach Chamber. We'd like to welcome the newest members to the Beach Chamber.
Beach Chiropractic Clinic, Florida Panhandle Golf Therapy Alliance Incorporated, Gibson Beach Rentals, Fuel Mule Phillip FL Incorporated, and Hassler and Associates Insurance Agency.
Congratulations from the area's only sports radio station, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Chuck was terrible at fishing. He spent many frustrating hours attempting to get results he saw from internet videos, aggravating trial and error fishing trips, and misguided advice from well-intended friends. Chuck is happy now with his newfound success after he visited Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, where we keep fishing fun, simple, and successful. See us soon at Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Live from the Rib Crib studio. Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local. 850-215-6290.
Always be sure to listen for the dial tone.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
All right, we got 5 minutes left, I've been told, Sam, so we got to keep it kind of quick here tonight. 6 o'clock coverage starts right after the Afternoon Underdogs. First pitch, 6:20 tonight. Nick Nelson on the bump for the Philadelphia Phillies, coming in with a record of 3-1, ERA of 3.94, 48 innings pitched, only 40 hits given up, 48 strikeouts compared to 23 ball on bases, going up against a Rookie of the Year candidate in Spencer Strider, record of 5-3, ERA 2.91, 80 innings pitched, 51 hits given up, 120 strikeouts, 31 walks to this point in the season. This is tonight, Truist Park. What do you expect the outcome to be for the Atlanta Braves, and what do you want to see from Nick Nelson?
Well, Nick Nelson, I wish him the best. Coming from Panama City, hey, and if you ever hear this, I'd love to have you on the podcast one day. But yeah, you hope it's a weird thing because you want to see the local guy do well, but at the same time you want the Braves to win. Hope that it's a low-scoring game, and then the Braves pull it out in the end.
All right, man. I can get behind that. About 4 minutes left here. Give me 1, 2, or 3 post-deadline expectations now for the Braves, especially with the latest and greatest move, and then give me a grade for the Rossiel Iglesias move.
Well, I think the Braves just gained some ground on the Mets. The Mets did get a little bit better with Darren Ruff and Michael Givens. They met some needs, and they did some other trades earlier before the deadline. So the Mets are a better team, but the Braves did close the gap a little bit because not only did the Braves get better, they filled some holes. They didn't really have holes, but they upgraded areas of weakness. I do think that the Braves have a slightly harder schedule left than the Mets do, and the Mets and the Braves play each other at least 12 more times before the season's over, I believe. And so it's really going to come down to those games. But I do think that the Braves have gained some ground, and this trade deadline, I would give it a solid B+ for the Braves. Really loved what they did, especially with that trade at the end there.
I love it, man. All right, so in the East, you got the Yankees up 12 games on the Blue Jays. Central, probably the closest division. The American League Central is the closest division, bar none, really. American League West, Houston is up 12 games on the Seattle Mariners. In the wild card, you're looking at Toronto, Tampa Bay, and the Mariners being your wild card. But Cleveland, Baltimore, and Boston are by no shot out of it. In the National League East, Mets got the Braves by 3.5 games. The Central... In the National League Central, the Brewers are up on the Cardinals by 3 games. The Dodgers are running away with the National League West as what we kind of suspected, I guess. But last year, with what the Giants did, it was like, well, who knows what could happen. In the wild card right now, the Braves, the Padres, and the Phillies have the Cardinals by 1 game, the Giants by 4.5 games, and the Marlins. Surprisingly, the Marlins are only 8.5 games out of a wild card spot. After the trade deadline, who, in your opinion, could be the biggest mover?
Oh, the Twins for sure. They got significantly better, especially with adding to their rotation, whereas the rest of the AL Central didn't really do anything. And so the Twins, I feel like, really got a lot better as far as winning their division, and it's pretty much guaranteed at this point. The Guardians are a good team, but the Twins just got even better, and none of the other teams really did a lot to get better. I think that they'll be the big. What I mean by mover is the gap between them and the Guardians is going to get a lot larger now.
Well, who could be the biggest loser? A team who maybe they didn't make the right moves, and now they find themselves from where they are today in a position to make a move to be in the playoffs, to now a team that just could slide all the way off the radar.
Well, I don't think there's really one that was a competitive team that's really going to slide off because of the trade deadline. The one team that I would say that really disappoints me is the Cubs. They had two really good trade targets that they could have really moved forward their rebuild, and they didn't do it in Ian Happ and Wilson Contreras. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The Giants didn't make a lot of sense either. They'll be the one that slides off.
Oh, man. Great stuff, Sam. Thank you so much for spending the trade deadline with me today. We are out of time. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Coach James Hale Show will be live at 7 a.m. Y'all make sure to tune in for the latest and greatest, not only local coverage, but you know how my man does it with the SEC and college football. We'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
It's the 5-year flyaway from 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Ron West, you just won the 5-year flyaway to see the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, good gosh almighty.